So beat the drum with me. I'm not America's sweetheart. Will they shut up till I fall this time? So I lit up and she burned it down. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart. She loved me anyway.
Starting with the first design, we're just taking a white t-shirt and then these blue and red tie-dye kits that I got from Michaels, and pinching in the middle of the t-shirt, you want to spin it around until it's completely circled, and then just rubber band it so it stays in place. And then the tie-dye kits, you just add water, shake it up, put on some gigantic gloves, and then you just want to start pouring the blue on one side, keep it more towards the end and not in the middle, and just douse it so that it completely soaks through. And then do the exact same to the other side with the red, but leave white in the middle. Flip it over and just do it again. And pretty much just use up all this dye so that it completely soaks through. But don't get too close to the middle because the tie-dye will start to seep. And then what I did was I wrapped it up so it wouldn't get anywhere, let it sit for a couple hours, and then you just run it under some cold water until the water runs clear. So that'll take a little while. I did it a couple times just to make sure. And then after washing it, it will look like this. I honestly am so happy with how it turned out. It surprised me. I didn't think it was actually going to look this good. But like the white stayed white. I was kind of worried about that. And then the blue and the red are quite beautiful. Moving on to the next design, I'm just taking this black t-shirt and some white acrylic paint because I didn't have any fabric paint. And in a pinch, you actually can use acrylic. It works just fine. But I just dabbed it on with a sponge and I just wrote #America, and I would not suggest using a sponge because it is a little hard to do like the curves, but I made it work somehow. And then I just went over it a couple times to make sure that it was actually like very white instead of just kind of fading. And then I just made this little flag, and it's kind of messy, but I kind of like that because it gives it that sort of homemade look. So then I just cut off the sleeves on both sides. And I didn't go too far down because I didn't want like my whole side showing. But then I just like pulled them out because I really like how that looks. And that is what it looks like. If I could do it over again, I would probably move down the America and the flag just because it's a little high, but what do you do? So moving on to the very last one, we are taking some blue and red fabric paint this time. I actually remembered to get some. But I am just making some flags, and I just like measured them out a little bit. They're not perfect. And then I made some stars, and they're also not perfect, but I like that look. I think it just gives it that homemade quality that you can't buy in a store. So just like the other one, we are going to cut off the sleeves, but this time I'm also cutting off the collar just because I wanted it to come down a little bit lower. And then I just cut the sleeves a little bit lower as well, just so that they reached down a little bit farther, so when I wear a bathing suit you can see it. And this is what it looks like. I honestly really love it. It's so cute. Moving on, we're going to be making some Jello shots. So I have red and blue Jello, and then some Knox gelatin that's white, Jello shot cups, and then milk and some vodka, and I just got plain vodka. Then I laid out my Jello shot cups just to make it easier to pour. Then I am just boiling some water and pouring in the red Jello first because that's our first layer. And I just let that dissolve, cool down a little bit, and then I poured in not a whole cup of vodka just because I didn't have enough of it, but then I just let that sit, cool down, and then I poured it into my Jello cups. And I really didn't have like a good way to pour it in because when I tried to pour it would just spill. So I just used a measuring spoon, and then I'm pouring milk into the pan this time and bringing it to a boil, pouring in the Knox because that's what it called for, letting that completely dissolve. And this is really hard. I had to do it 3 times to actually get it to work properly. And then I poured it into the bowl, let that really cool off, and then poured in a little bit more vodka. It's more like a half a cup. It calls for a whole cup though. And then I let this completely cool after letting the red Jello sit in the fridge for a while so that they didn't mix. And then I just poured that gently on top to make sure that they weren't mixing together and they were just staying nice and layering very nicely. And then I put that back in the fridge, and now we are making the blue layer. So basically you just do the exact same thing as the red. Let it dissolve in boiling water. And then I let this completely cool down, and then I poured in a bowl so that it would cool down a lot better. And then I poured in the rest of the vodka just because I figured it would be plenty. And then I put them on top, and this is what they look like. They turned out really good. I'm so happy with how they look, and they're actually really good too. And the last drink is actually non-alcoholic, so I just used some Kraton Raspberry, some white Gatorade, and then Blue Hawaiian Punch to make a layered drink. So what I did was I poured the red a third of the way through, and then you want to put in your ice after that. And then using a spoon, you just gently pour the Gatorade on top. And then after that, the same with the punch, and you just want to do this very slowly so it layers nicely. Mine started to mix, but it looked like this when it was done, and it's so cute, and it actually tasted really good. I was actually genuinely surprised, but I literally love how it looks. Moving on into food, I don't know if you guys have ever had puppy chow, but it's huge here, so you need Chex, peanut butter, powdered sugar, chocolate chips, and M&Ms. I did not use the vanilla. And then you just put in peanut butter and the chocolate chips, and Alston actually got it to do that, which was so cool. It looked like a chocolate chip peanut butter. And then you just put that into the microwave and just keep heating it down. We only did it for like 30 seconds at a time, and then I lost a whole bunch of footage somehow. But we just poured that mixture onto the Chex and then put it in a container to put the powdered sugar in, and just went crazy shaking it. And then because of this guy is why I have footage of us actually making this, because he was taking a vlog at the time, because he's wonderful. But yeah, we just ended up with this, and it's very chunky, but then I put it in M&Ms. And this is actually what puppy chow is supposed to look like, but we just put a lot of extra chocolate chips in there. And then this is another little fun thing that we did. So I took some popcorn, and then Kendra has this really cool popcorn maker that I loved. I thought it was so cute. So we just made some popcorn, and then I melted some white chocolate chips, and I did the same thing where I just did it at little increments at a time, and then when it was completely melted, I put it all over the popcorn. It ended up being a lot, but at the same time I liked that because then it completely covered all of it. And then I put the rest of the M&Ms in with that, so it just like hardened and became this delicious little snack, and it ended up being so delicious, and all of it was so good, and I had to force myself to stop eating it all because it was so good. Like, the puppy chow is addicting. The Jello shots were actually really good. They're just really hard to eat for me. And then I love them all. They're great. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. Just if you want to, you don't have to, but I'm gonna go. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!